Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Leon Shackleford. I'm an outreach client in Supported Independence and I live in Southmead. I have come here today to talk to you about human rights. This talk is about how you should respect people's human rights by knowing what they are so you don't breach them. Firstly, what are human rights? The most important thing is to understand is that everyone has the same human rights. Whatever your disability, colour, race, gender or sexual preference, people should be treated the same way, equally like everyone else. Whoever you are, it should not make a difference. No discrimination should be tolerated, especially if this affects a person's human rights. There are several human rights that we all have. These are included in the Human Rights Act 1998. If you are not familiar with the Human Rights Act, I suggest you get a copy from the internet. The main human rights are the right to life, the right not to be tortured or subjected to degrading treatment, the right not to be held in slavery, the right to liberty and security, the right to have a fair trial, the right to no punishment without law, the right to respect private and family life, the right to think for yourself and have your own personal beliefs, the right of freedom of expression, the right to be with others, the right to marry, the right not to be discriminated against on any grounds, the right to protection of property, the right to education, the right to be able to vote for who you want in elections. As clients, our human rights and boundaries, personal boundaries, should be respected. For example, a person's personal items should not be touched or taken without their permission. Breaching other people's human rights is very serious and also against the law. You may not realise you're breaching someone's human rights or personal boundaries. As staff, you have a duty of care to the residents in Supported Independence. Your role is to support people to be independent. Keep in mind about how you are working with a client. Think about where their rights could be being breached. Just because a resident wishes to live their life in a way that doesn't suit you, you should remember we all have the right to live our lives in the way that we choose. When you first work with a client, it's important to talk about human rights and boundaries. As staff, you need to find out what is acceptable to the client as well as giving your boundaries to them. So, what are boundaries? Boundaries are there to protect both the client and yourself. They are the rules that everyone has to feel comfortable with themselves and those around them. My personal boundaries are no physical contact or tickling. I don't like people messing with my stuff, like my letters, opening my letters. I don't like staff being too over-friendly with me because this can give me mixed messages. I don't like physical contact because this makes me feel uncomfortable. As staff, you have to behave professionally when working with clients, making sure that you don't cause confusion. It's important you realise the client should not see you as a friend, but as someone who is there to give support and advice if needed. So, what can you do if your rights have been breached? You can write a letter or make a phone call saying that your rights have been breached to your manager within the company. The situation should be resolved by speaking to all people involved in the complaint. Others may also be informed. This includes the client's social worker and, if it is serious, the Safeguarding Adults Coordinator team. This team is part of social services. They are there to protect vulnerable adults. This is only when the problem cannot be solved inside the company, such as a case of abuse. There are 7 types of abuse. These include physical abuse, such as hitting or kicking, neglect, such as ignoring medical or physical needs, sexual abuse, such as the unwilling involvement of the person in sexual activities, financial or material abuse, such as theft or fraud, emotional abuse such as bullying or controlling, discrimination, such as racist or sexist remarks, and institutional abuse, such as repeated incidents of poor care. If the matter is very serious, then the police can be involved. But as I said, this is only for the most serious of cases. Usually, a situation can be sorted out within the company. As members of staff, it is important that you keep your eyes open and report any suspected abuse and breaches of human rights. If you do not report suspected abuse, then you are also abusing the person's rights and not upholding your duty of care. So, remember, human rights are there to make sure we are all treated equally. We all have the right to live our lives in whatever way we all choose, as long as we stay within the law. Treat others the way how you like to be treated. Thank you very much for listening to my talk. And remember, be a thinker, not a stinker. Good day!